Hello, everyone. This is Mike Bevilacqua with the Merrimack Valley Chamber of Commerce. I want to thank you all for joining us today for a great presentation with Jess Schores, Nutrition in Motion. Jess had approached us about doing a webinar, and we thought this was a fantastic topic. Something everyone does is grocery shop. I probably do too much of it. So hopefully Jess can teach me a few ways to better prepare myself going forward in the future. I just want to mention real quick some of the upcoming Merrimack Valley Chamber webinars that you're all invited to attend and participate in. This Friday on the 19th, we have a virtual conversation with Methuen Mayor Neil Perry. It's going to give an opportunity to hear about the city plans for 2021 and also ask your questions. On the 23rd, we have our next opportunity for virtual business networking. If you haven't taken part in that yet, it's a great opportunity. You have that one-on-one networking with multiple people throughout the afternoon, and this will be taking place at 4 p.m. on March 23rd. I also want to mention that our HR series continues on March 25th. It's, our COVID shots required by employers. Should employers require COVID vaccines? That takes place on the 25th, and it's going to be starting at 10 a.m. And then I just want to close up by saying we have our virtual Business Expo Health and Wellness Fair taking place on April 7th. It's going to be a great opportunity. We really can't wait for it. We have a bunch of exhibitors already. I think about over 20 right now. And if you're looking to attend just to come learn what those exhibitors have to offer, it is completely free to attend. We're going to have it so you get to choose who you want to talk to. You actually click on the people's booths. You'll be led right to them face-to-face virtually through Zoom. And we are really looking forward to that. It's a completely new platform. I want to say thank you to Rand for getting that set up for us. And it is completely free to attend the virtual Business Expo. And if you visit at least 3 booths, you're going to want to visit more, but if you visit at least 3, you get entered to a great raffle also. So again, April 7th, make sure to check out those booths, and you can find out more information on merrimackvalleychamber.com. But with that being said, I'm going to turn it over now to our great speaker for today, Jess Schores, who's with Nutrition in Motion. And welcome, Jess.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me, and thank you to everyone who joined the call today. So my name is Jess Schores. I'm a dietitian that works for Nutrition in Motion, and today we will be talking about grocery shopping 101. So just a little bit about myself. I've been a dietitian for a few years. I do a combination of private practice nutrition counseling in North Andover and then corporate wellness programming all around the Boston and full Massachusetts area. So if either of those ever catch your interest, feel free to reach out to me. So we decided on this topic today because grocery shopping is something that I find as a dietitian stresses people out, makes them feel overwhelmed when they go in, or they just don't enjoy the experience, so they'll get takeout more or pick more of those convenient options. So when it comes to health and wellness and grocery shopping in general, I like to simplify it. I like to give people, simple, easy steps to take to be efficient, to food shop on a budget, but still try to focus on health just a little bit. So the presentation today will be about 30 minutes, and then I will save time at the end, of course, for questions and answers. Throughout the whole presentation, if anyone does have any questions or comments, feel free to chime in or type in the Zoom chat box. I'll keep an eye on that to see if any questions just pop up as we go along. Okay, so just today's agenda, quick intro. We'll then talk about what does your body need? When we think about nutrition, we hear so many different, types of information on the internet and social media from a friend, from a family, but we want to really understand the science behind nutrition and know when we eat something, what should we be eating? What should we be focusing on? We'll then transition into the food shopping experience, talk about a few easy family meal ideas, and then next steps. So before we jump into it, I'd love to ask people on the call, who here likes to grocery shop? Or, what types of emotions do people feel when they think about grocery shopping? Is it positive? Is it negative?
I think about something else.
I like shopping. Especially now it's a lot of just being able to get out of the house, which is nice.
Awesome. Perfect. So I love to hear that some people do love it. I also love it. Of course, I love food. So I love going into the grocery store and just, letting the creativity roll with what you could buy and what you can cook. But, during the pandemic, during the past year, I have also found that it does add another layer of stress to grocery shop, not based on the experience, but based on being surrounded by others. So I do talk about efficiency with grocery shopping. So even if we love it, we can still be in and out pretty quick just to have it be a very safe shopping experience. And I do have someone that said, nope, I don't like shopping at all. Yes, and we have a lot of different opinions on grocery shopping. All right, so before we talk about the grocery shopping experience, let's talk about what does your body need. So I talk about this a lot in my practice, where when we consume something, a meal or a snack, we do want to focus on specific food groups and nutrients just so that we are functioning properly, physically and mentally. So if we think about a checklist of what our body needs at baseline every single day, every single week, we need macronutrients, micronutrients, sleep, water, and air. So as you can see, sleep, water, and air aren't directly food related, but they're definitely nutrition and health related. So they're things that I focus on all the time. With air, I mean, we're all breathing on this call, so we know that that's something we're all getting. So we really just have to focus more on the hydration and food part of it. So the three macronutrients, these are something that you might be familiar with, you might not, but basically these are nutrients you need in large amounts. So any type of food item we consume is either a protein source, a carbohydrate source, a fat source, or maybe one, two, or three of those all included. Now, the importance to including these in your day is that carbohydrates are our main source of energy for our body and for our mind. So we live in a culture where carbs are sometimes labeled as bad or evil or something to never touch, but that's not really true. If you're focusing on healthy types of carbohydrates, they benefit us physically and mentally so much. Now, with protein and fat, these play many different roles in the body, but they help keep us full. So when we have a meal, of course, we don't want to be hungry an hour later. So if we include protein and fat within that meal with carbohydrates, usually it's the perfect combination where we feel energy, we feel fueled up, we feel full for maybe 3 to 5 hours until our next meal or snack rolls around. Something else I focus on is micronutrients. So just nutrients we need in smaller amounts. These are vitamins and minerals, and we get most of these through fruits and vegetables. So we all know that fruits and veggies are good for us, they're healthy, but it's also cool to understand that different fruits and vegetables have different specific nutrients in them. So depending on your individual needs, sometimes you want to focus on certain nutrients over others. And then sleep, water, air, like I mentioned. So we'll quickly review the three macronutrients to go over sources and the importance of them, and then transition into, okay, how do we know how to food shop and get these items? So for carbohydrates, like I said, it's the body's preferred source of fuel. So if we think about carbohydrates, what are some types of carbohydrates that come to mind? What are some food items we like that are carbs?
Bread.
Yes, bread. I see someone said pasta and bread. Yep. Those are definitely the most common one. Bananas is another great one. So fruit. Yep. So when we think about carbohydrates, sometimes we think of bread, pasta, pastries, cookies, sweets, sugar, but there are also a lot of nourishing types of carbohydrates, whole grains like rice, quinoa, couscous, farro, whole wheat bread. Fruits and vegetables are carbohydrates. Corn and potatoes are other ones that people said. Yes, Michael said pasta is my favorite carb. I'm with you on that, Michael. I absolutely love pasta. So as you can all see, there are many different sources of carbohydrates. So we do want to focus on most of our meals throughout the day, breakfast, lunch, dinner, including carbohydrates in them. Now, that's not to say a big bowl of pasta for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, but maybe a piece of fruit with breakfast, a cup of pasta for lunch, and a sandwich for dinner. Something simple like that, because it is the preferred source of fuel for our body and mind to function properly. And then after that is protein. So like I said before, protein has a lot of different roles in the body, but it also helps keep us full, and it slows down digestion and absorption to be able to keep us full longer. So if someone ever tells me that they're starving an hour after their meals, I usually assess their protein to make sure they have it in their meal or make sure they're having enough. So what are some sources of protein that come to mind that we enjoy? Steak, chicken, yep, those are some good ones. Fish is another one. Nuts and
Beans.
seeds. Yes, beans. Beans are a great one as well. So beans, chickpeas, lentils, eggs are a great one. Dairy products, yep, Greek yogurt, steak, chicken, fish, turkey. All of those are great sources of protein. So protein are really the building blocks of our body tissues, and they help with muscle repair and muscle growth. So if we're someone who's pretty physically active, or we're looking to gain muscle mass, strengthen the muscle we have, protein definitely aids in that. And then last, but definitely not least, is fats. So fats are the third macronutrient. Now, fats also sometimes get a bad rep in the health world, but it all depends on what types of fats you're consuming. So we have three main different types of fats in the diet. We have trans fat, saturated fat, and unsaturated fats. Now, trans fat are the worst type of fats. We don't want these in our diet at all. Trans fats can be found in baked goods, processed goods, packaged items. If you see a donut at a 7-Eleven that seems like it's been sitting there for a few months, that might have some trans fat in it. So trans fat is something we want to avoid. Saturated fat is a natural type of fat that's found in a lot of animal products. So meat, poultry, dairy products. And saturated fat's just something we want to be mindful of. We do not need to eliminate, but having more moderate amounts is best. And then unsaturated fats, these are the gold standard of fat. These are super healthy types of fats that are important for cell structure, brain function, hormone health. They help keep us full. They're anti-inflammatory. So these types of fats come from nuts, seeds, nut butter, salmon, avocados, olive oil, chia seeds, flax seeds, a lot of great types of fats packed into those items. And those are ones that we definitely want to focus on having with our breakfast, our lunch, and our dinner. All right, so now that we had a quick recap of, the three macronutrients and how to include those, now we can talk about the grocery shopping or food shopping experience. So there are 3 steps that I like for people to follow when it comes to a food shopping experience that's successful, that's easy, and that's efficient. You're in and out. So the first one is to organize and plan. So make a list of items and think about meal ideas. Now, I know this sounds like the simplest thing, but sometimes people don't want to make a list because it just sounds so simple. I don't need a list. I'll remember everything in my head. If I do that, I walk out of Market Basket and I forget 5 staple things that I needed for the week. So making a list is always the best way to go. Now, with everyone on the call today, how many of you make a list and how many of you definitely don't? Okay, I see some people making a list. Awesome. Michael says don't make a list. Yeah, earlier he was saying I'll just grab a lot at the store. Some people sometimes do. Perfect. Awesome. So when it comes to making a list, I think making a list is super vital when you are focusing on your health. Whether you're looking to, buy heart healthy items, increase your fruits and vegetables, experiment with new fun recipes, making a list will really help you reach your goals and enjoy your cooking and eating experience. And then in addition to making a list, you'll also want to think about some meal ideas, because we could make a list of chicken, rice, eggs, spinach, arugula, and then have all of it in the house and maybe not know, do these even go together? What can I even make out of them? So making a meal idea, brainstorm, brain dump is very, very helpful as well. After that, you want to shop the perimeter, which we'll talk about in a few minutes, why that is beneficial. It's a very efficient way to get in and out of the store. And then look for deals. I mean, in a sense, I feel like we all want to food shop on a budget. We don't want to spend too much money at Market Basket or BJ's. So looking for deals is always a great thing to do. So with an organized list, there are 2 different ways that I recommend for people to make your list to make sure that you're in and out quick and you don't forget any of the ingredients. So some people like to make a list based on how the store is set up. So if you think about walking into, a Market Basket or a Stop and Shop, usually there's produce on one side, left or right. Then you'll go into all your meat products, your dairy products, your frozen, and then maybe you hit an aisle or 2 for your snacks or your whole grain and carbohydrates. If you make that list that way, then you don't have to backtrack. You don't have to run back to an aisle if you forgot something. You kind of just make your path to go throughout the store. Another way that you can make the list, which is the way that I'll do my own list, is based on the 3 macronutrients and micronutrients. So if you want to make sure you're always getting protein, carbohydrate, and fat in all of your meals, and you're also getting in some vitamins and minerals, I'll just make a list with subcategories and fill in a few items under each category to make sure I'm not forgetting anything. Now, another benefit to making a list is that it limits impulse buys, which can decrease the cost of groceries. So if I ever go in hungry and without a list, it's a game changer. I'm buying everything in sight and I'm really buying things that I probably can't make a meal out of. So again, that list can really, really help when it comes to food shopping on a budget and getting some healthy items. So another thing is you want to focus on versatile options. So if you only like chicken in one specific dish, maybe chicken isn't the way to go if it's not something that you can mix and match with different options. So as you can see on this slide, we have some protein sources, fat, carbohydrate sources, fruits and vegetables, and extra items, snacks, condiments, marinades, whatever else you need. As you can see, if you scan through this list, it's not too many different options. A lot of them are pretty budget friendly, but by making a list like this, you can then create all of these different items. So this is how I normally make my list. I'll think about some meals I want to have and then a list that matches along with that meal. So as you can see, I have a tuna sandwich, a grilled chicken pasta dish, ground turkey and brown rice. I'm using some of the vegetables in multiple different dishes. I'm having some snack and breakfast items that are using the same ingredients. So just based on this simple list, I can have some meal ideas for the whole week. As you can see, there's only a few options for each meal, breakfast, lunch, dinner, and snacks, but sometimes it's nice to not have too many options, especially if you're cooking for one or for two. You want to utilize leftovers. You want to make sure you're eating everything in your fridge before restocking and having more. So again, making a list and being a visual person is very, very helpful. So this is something I give to all my clients I work with. And again, I use for myself. So sometimes we think, okay, I don't need to plan this much for my meals, but you should try this for 1 week and see how successful it is. So with this meal planning chart, this is something that you can take a picture of. If you want a copy of it, let me know. I can email it to you and use it for 1 week. If you fill out rough ideas of your breakfast, lunch, dinner, snack options ahead of time, you can then assess and say, okay, am I even having any fruits and vegetables in my meal? Oh my gosh, I forgot protein in all of my lunches. It's kind of nice to take that time to reflect, and then you can tweak your meals so they're super, super nourishing before you even go food shopping. So this chart is very, very helpful. And then along with this chart, this is just an example of one of the grocery lists that you can make. So again, if you want something that's kind of pre-made for you, let me know, and I'm more than happy to send that along to anyone on the call today. So when it comes to grocery shopping, a lot of times I talk about grocery shopping in relation to meal prep or meal planning. Okay, if you plan your meals, you grocery shop, and then you meal prep for the week, and then you're all set. However, sometimes a lot of us don't like thinking about meal prep or cooking ahead of time. So for those of you on the call today, how many of you like to meal prep or plan? Or do any of you? I see some people shaking their heads no. That's okay. That's okay. That's a very, very normal answer. And I get it because we're all busy. We're busy at work. The last thing we want to do after a long work day, now that it's lighter out later, is be in the kitchen for 5 hours. So this is one concept I talk about a lot, and I think it helps people eat healthier without feeling pressure to cook every single thing they make. So think about meal prep as a loose meal prep, where it's not that, Instagram cookie cutter meal prep where you're portioning out your boring chicken, rice, and vegetables and having that every day. That's not fun. But with the loose meal prep, I want people to think about what they eat throughout the week and if there are nutrients that are missing. Are they usually missing a fruit or a vegetable in breakfast and lunch? Are you usually missing a healthy carbohydrate at breakfast or dinner time? Whatever you think you're missing, prep that each week. So you can pick 1 to 3 items to make per week that maybe only take you 45 minutes in the kitchen on a Sunday or Monday, and then you're stocked up with healthy go-to items. So for example, 3 things that I always recommend for people to cook are hard-boiled eggs, if you like eggs. If you're busy in the morning for breakfast and your egg is already cooked, you can just have that hard-boiled egg, a piece of toast, a piece of fruit. Make it nice and simple. Hard-boiled eggs also take 10 minutes maximum to make, so not a lot of time in the kitchen. Another thing is vegetables. A lot of times when it comes to health and wellness, we need to bulk up on the vegetables because of the vitamins and minerals that are packed into them. So if you normally run out of vegetables or don't have them at every meal, maybe you buy an extra head of broccoli, an extra thing of eggplant and asparagus, and you just roast it. Every Monday evening, you roast 2 to 3 sheet pans of vegetables. That way, no matter what you're getting, no matter what you're making, pasta, pizza, takeout, if you have those vegetables ready, you can add them into your meals and bulk up with a lot of nutrients. Now, if you kind of brainstorm the 3 things you want to loosely meal prep, you can then always go put them on your grocery list, and then you can see how that organizing and planning really helps you out, throughout the whole week. Oh, and someone made a comment that the wife cooks at home because you flooded the kitchen twice. Oh my goodness. Okay. So if you live with a family, you definitely want to make sure whoever's in the kitchen is the one who's most confident in the kitchen so you don't flood the kitchen. All right, and next is shopping the perimeter. So if you have your grocery list, you've broken it up into subcategories, and you have some meal ideas for the week that you'll loosely meal prep, you then want to go around the perimeter, especially if you want to be focusing on, health and wellness and just optimizing your nutrition status. So if you go around the perimeter of the store, this is where you find most of the fresh fruits, vegetables, meat, dairy, fish. Again, those micronutrients and macronutrients that we want to include in our day. Another thing about shopping the perimeter is that you're avoiding a lot of the processed items. So if you really want to focus on consuming whole food, healthy, nourishing items, fill up most of your cart around the perimeter and then hit 1 or 2 aisles for, some snacks or some condiments. But if we start in the aisles with an empty carriage or cart, sometimes we just end up grabbing more because we want to fill up our cart. So let's fill up our cart around the perimeter first and see if that helps. And then you also want to look for deals. So I am a big food shopper on a budget. If I can save money, might as well. So easy ways to look for deals are buying in bulk, buy store name brands, fresh versus frozen, and then getting in-season produce. So with buying in bulk, this can definitely help. So if you are someone who goes to Market Basket, BJ's, Walmart, some of those places you can just get much larger quantities for a cheap price, definitely do so. So here are 2 examples of how you can save a lot of money by buying in bulk. If you're someone who has a Chobani blueberry yogurt for breakfast every day, instead of getting that individual serving, that's about $1.29 at a Stop and Shop. If you get a big 32-ounce yogurt, you are getting much more for your money. So as you can see that amount, you're saving money, getting more. So it's a win-win situation. The same thing with rice or any type of whole grain, rice, pasta, quinoa, couscous. If you have one of those staples often, get a big bag. As you can see with Uncle Ben's 90-second brown rice, 1 little container is about $2.40. But if you get a big 5-pound bag of rice, it's only $5, and you are getting, I don't even know how many servings out of it. You are getting a lot of servings out of it, and it's only $5. And you will probably only have to get that brown rice once every 2 months to slowly go through it over time. So definitely buy in bulk with those staple items you consume often. And then also store brand versus name brand. So there is some research to show that you could save an average of about 25% when picking store brand items instead of the name brand. So here are 2 more examples. Frank's hot sauce, Big fan of it. It's delicious. But if you get a Stop and Shop brand, you are saving, $1.50, and the ingredients are the same. So oh, yep, Michael just said store brand always tastes the same. So that's very, very true. If you ever compare ingredient lists with a store brand and a name brand, the ingredients 90% of the time are the exact same. So you know it should probably taste the same or similar enough. Same thing with, cereal items. If you're getting a Kellogg's brand, that's a name brand. They're pretty popular. You'll be paying for that name brand. Whereas if you get the Market Basket brand, ingredients are the same, taste is the same, and usually there are a lot more deals when it comes to name brands. And then also fresh versus frozen produce. So if you are someone who wants to eat more vegetables, but you're not sure if you will cook them often or you don't like to buy them and have them go bad in the fridge, just get frozen, because frozen is just as nutritious as fresh. So frozen vegetables are the way to go. So as you can see, a frozen bag of broccoli and cauliflower is less than $2. Whereas if you got one fresh head of cauliflower and one fresh head of broccoli, both of those items separately are more than that frozen bag combined. So that just goes to show, if you don't have a preference, fresh versus frozen vegetables, get the frozen. And then another thing with grocery shopping is sometimes we don't like to do it because, takeout's easier. Getting delivery is, much simpler after a long work day. But when it comes to health and food shopping on a budget, making items at home will save you a lot and benefit your health a lot. So one example of this is pizza. Now, I chose pizza as an example because I think pizza is one of the funnest things to make at home, especially if you have roommates, you live with your family, you have some young children. Have a pizza night one time a week where they can learn to cook in the kitchen and you can have fun throughout the whole process. So if you were to get a large cheese pizza, depending on the place, it'd be $13 to $20 plus a delivery fee. Now, if you were to food shop and have pizza as a meal, you can see that just getting dough and pizza sauce and, extra veggies or cheese, whatever else you might need that's probably already in your house, it's less than $8 and it's much more fun. So you can definitely have a lot of fun with doing some recipes at home. Now, when it comes to grocery shopping 101, sometimes we want to brainstorm meal ideas, but we just don't even know where to start. So the simpler, the better. When it comes to healthy eating, it doesn't have to be fancy. It doesn't have to be elaborate. It can be 2 to 4 items packed into a meal, and you should be proud with that. So these are some vegetarian meal ideas. Cheesy rice and beans is a super easy, savory, warm meal to have. You can get some rice, you can get some beans, you can get a fresh salsa and maybe a bag of cheese, mix it all together and you're good to go. Another thing is just getting a plant-based pasta because that has a good amount of protein in it. Steaming a bag of broccoli, mixing that into the pasta and maybe a jar of tomato sauce, you're good to go, super nutritious. And another one is tempeh tacos. So tempeh is a really fun plant-based protein, but you could also do bean tacos, tofu tacos. There are a lot of things you can do. And then other meal ideas that do include animal products, chicken thighs with pasta, spinach, and tomato sauce. Simple, easy, savory, and only 4 ingredients that you can get at the grocery store. Another one I do all the time is brown rice, ground turkey, frozen vegetables. And I'll get an Italian dressing and just dump that into the dish. So that's all the seasoning for me. I don't have to worry about getting 25 different spices and herbs and all of that. So overall with grocery shopping, like I said, you want to focus on health. You want to focus on macronutrients and micronutrients. You want to focus on an organized list and a loose meal prep if you want to start meal prepping. And then, of course, if you want to take this concept into more detail and really apply it to your individual life, you can always reach out to a dietitian, myself, of course, included, to really optimize your grocery shopping and your eating experience. So that was the end of the presentation for today. So I always just like to end my presentations by saying, a main part of my job is doing private practice nutrition counseling. So if anyone needs help with grocery shopping, with meal prepping, with managing a chronic disease, with finding a healthy relationship with food, whatever nutrition struggle you might be having, I'm accepting new clients right now, and I do telehealth appointments. So more than happy to chat if any of you are interested. So that is the end of the presentation for today. So I'd love to open it up to anyone to see if anyone has any questions.
I'll ask one. I think you might have touched on this a little bit in the presentation, but do the frozen vegetables have the same nutritional benefits as the fresh ones?
Yes, yes. So frozen is just as nutritious as fresh, and sometimes even more nutritious, because when they're frozen, they're in their optimal state of ripeness in a sense.
Okay.
So they kind of lock those nutrients in. Whereas if you have a 14-day-old head of broccoli that's fresh in your fridge, you're not going to get as much out of that.
Oh, makes sense. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, no, this was really helpful, Jess. I'm curious just about how often, and I'm sure a lot of this is so personal to, people and their nutrition, but I don't know. Yeah, like how often you should eat. And then I think the struggle that often comes up is finding breakfast foods that aren't full of sugar and snacks that also aren't just I guess for me, I'm trying to avoid processed foods and things with lots of added sugars and things like that.
So when it comes to how often you should eat, definitely depends on the individual, but anywhere from every 3 to 5 hours, because once you hit that mark of going past the 4 to 5 hour mark, you're kind of depleting your body of its stores of energy. So you do need to refuel. So for some people, that's breakfast, lunch, dinner with one snack in between. For other people, it's 5 small meals a day. So it totally depends. Breakfast can definitely be a challenge when it comes to avoiding some highly processed items. So if someone's on the go and super busy, one thing I always recommend is grabbing a piece of fruit and a granola bar. And I can always give you some granola bar brands that are super healthy. So that's something you can eat in the car, you can eat on the train, you can eat during a conference call, and it's super quick and easy. 2 other things are overnight oats, which is a cold oatmeal, is great to make. You can get plain rolled oats and add your own sweetness. So you're not getting pre-sweetened oatmeal, and that will decrease the amount of sugar in it. Or making your own breakfast sandwiches. I'm a big egg, cheese, and veggie sandwich kind of gal. So I'll just make a few of those at the beginning of the week, throw in a handful of steamed spinach, wrap it up, and that could be a good breakfast as well.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
In the chat, Jess, we have, do you have any particular suggestions on washing the vegetables?
Oh, yes, I'm seeing that now. Thank you. So when it comes to washing vegetables, you just need to rinse them under water. Depending on the type of vegetable, you'll want to take more care doing so. So for example, a green leafy vegetable, something like, say, a scallion or leeks, or something that has different layers to it where dirt could get inside, you'll want to just take a few seconds to kind of get into those crevices and rinse it. But rinsing it is all you need to do.
Any more questions at all from the audience?
I do. In thinking of that, seeing that question made me think about organic versus not organic fruits and vegetables. And if you could just share a little insight on that.
Yes. So when it comes to organic fruits and vegetables, one, there's a huge cost to buying organic. Organic is beneficial because it decreases, the amount of pesticides and any additional items or, chemicals that could be in those products. However, there are some vegetables and fruits you want to focus on more to get organic compared to others, if you do have that budget to do so at all. So if you've never heard of the Dirty Dozen and Clean 15, I would Google those 2 terms. And those are 2 lists of the Dirty Dozen. So the 12 items, fruits and vegetables you might want to buy organic. And then the Clean 15, that even just the traditional fruits and vegetables without being organic are super safe to have with little to no pesticides. So those lists are changing every year, they're updated, but that's a nice way to say, okay, if I have some money in my budget, I should get organic this, but I don't have to worry about organic that.
Anyone else? Well, I want to thank Jess for a great presentation. I think we all got some helpful tips out of this, so thank you again for joining us today. Any closing remarks at all?
Yeah, I just want to thank you all so much for joining today. Yes, and everyone's saying thank you. I'm so happy that you all enjoyed it. And like I said, I can always send that meal planning chart to those of you on the call today. If you want to use that as a resource, I can touch base with Rhiannon and Michael to get the names of everyone on the call. And if you're ever interested in future topics, whether it's for the chamber or for another organization, company you work for, let me know, because this is a big part of my job to do these presentations, and I love doing so.
Oh, yeah, one more question. One of the attendees just wants to know, do you take insurance?
Yes, I do. I'm glad that you actually asked that because I totally forgot to mention it. So for my private practice counseling, I do take most of the major Massachusetts insurance companies. So I would say 90% of the time, there's no out-of-pocket cost for the client, or there's a copay. Especially during the pandemic with telehealth appointments, a lot of companies, insurance companies, have expanded their coverage. So right now, usually a lot of costs are waived for preventative health care.
Perfect. And do you mind just, we'll send out your contact information. One of the attendees says they'll definitely be calling you, so we'll make sure to include your information on the thank you email. But if anyone has any questions, make sure to pass them along to us. We can always get them to Jess as well. But thank you to Jess. We appreciate you taking the time on your schedule today. Thank you to all who joined us also. And as I mentioned, there's a number of great programs coming up, and you can find out more information on merrimackvalleychamber.com. Thank you very much and have a great afternoon.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks again, Jess.